Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here, and I would like to thank AKEFEMA for inviting us. This is the second time for me here in Kenya. Last time I was in April with AKEFEMA. We have been in April visiting several feed mills for maybe 5 days here consequently. Every day I find a price for corn. Every day I wake up, I find the second day increase. And every visit for a feed mill, there are only two questions that comes to us. What's happening for the market, for the corn prices? Nobody knows what's going on. And the second question, what we do. So in this part, actually it was come to my mind what I should to present here. And one of this is one of the solutions, what we can do. Because one of the solutions, you should to distribute your basket. You should to have other solutions because there are some challenges for the supply, for the pricing. You need to find something that can substitute corn. My name is Alaar Badr. I am veterinarian as basic science, and I have my MBA. I have been working with Nutrico for 25 years. Then I have been joined USGC Grains last November as nutrition consultant for Africa and Middle East. For the news, actually, I was checking the news, what's happening in Kenya last few months ago. It looked like that the main concern in the feed industry is the prices are surging up, increasing dramatically. And every day you have a price, you cannot judge what you will do tomorrow. So one of the main reasons for increasing the prices is the corn prices is too high. Then I have been with contact with AKEFEMA. What's happening there? AKEFEMA have been some actions with the connections with farmers, and they have shown to the government there are problem here. We need to find a solution. So, business, I have been back up some of the news, just what's happening for market of the corn since it have been. Actually, in 2025, it looked like the production for corn was increasing. It looked like good news. But in the same time, there are increase in the import for the yellow corn or for the corn sourced from the neighbor countries. And this have been challenged, especially that there are somehow some concern for the quality, some concern for the continuity of the supply. Otherwise, why the prices are increasing? Because there are some gaps happens. So what's happening this year in 2026? There are one of the news have been moved there. The government in Kenya have been permitted to import duty-free corn. Why is that? We need to close the gaps. That's the main concern nowadays. So it's a kind of concern for this part. I'd like to play somehow with some math. What's happening? That the local production, accordingly to 2025, close to 4.1 million tons. That's the local production, according have been found from the news, etc. And according to 2025, there are some imports for close to 468 or 470,000 tons is imported from the neighboring countries. So the total requirement look like close to 4.6 million tons. I was just a few minutes ago attending another session there. There are some expectations due to the draft happen here in Kenya that could be the crop this year not the efficient or not the top as have been done in 2025. So for that, I see that the government have been taking some actions to open the gate for a duty-free maize import, especially maybe yellow corn. So the requirement is close to 500,000 tons. So this means that there are some increase in the requirement of the corn to satisfy this one. For me, you are knowing better than me why. But I just digging around, corn is one of the important things here in Kenya. So there are some conditions are being put for the human consumption for corn. Should to be non-GMO, should to be, there are some high demand for corn here, but in the same time, it's competing with the requirement of animal. So there are a kind of an objective how to find out a solution for poultry or the animal nutrition to find another source and keep the white maize or white corn here for the human consumption. So somehow is number one, there are some shortage of maize nowadays, and we do expect, according to the news, according to what I've been learned yesterday and today, and there are some pressure from the industry to cover up this gap, and there are everywhere I'm moving, non-GMO, non-GMO, non-GMO. So there are high concern here for the non-GMO sources for corn, etc. So what we do for closing this gap for the animal nutrition? One of the solutions I found through the US sorghum. And US sorghum has some benefits. That's non-GMO, so we are covering one of the challenges we found that for the sourcing for the corn sources. And nutrition is close to maize. So there are some adjustment, of course, for the formulation, but it's close to the standard corn. But let's have a high concern for the quality. That is one of the concerns that I will talk about. And that is the rule of US Grains. US Grains have a kind of, it's a non-profit organization, belongs to the US. And this have been, the rule mainly is how to coordinate the quality and to show the performance for the customers. So what US Grains do is coordinating between collecting the samples and sending these samples or participating with independent labs to make analysis for these samples. Then we share the results for customers, so somehow they can have a good tool to prospect and to have an action for this part. So from where US sorghum comes from, there is an area in US named the sorghum belt. One of the biggest or the largest producer is Kansas. And what happened here at this time, US Grain is coordinating between the area of the commercial export channels, and this gives us a good indication what you are going to receive is close to the chemical analysis, what you will find. And these samples coordinated together from the areas for the elevator and from the terminals where the export happened. So this already, the result which we will show is already shipped somewhere in the globe. At the same time, these results are shown as a kind of a commercial volume, so somehow is a representative for every geographic diversity. These samples have been sent to independent labs. In the same time, it's following the USDA Federal of Grain Inspection Services. So the methods, so they are following the same method for the analysis to trust that everything according to the rules. So we come for the first thing, that the protein. Protein is look like is a consistent all over the years. So we are talking about close, this is based on dry matter. We are talking about 11.6, and look like this crop of 2025-2026 crop is a good, in the protein level, it's 11.6, so it's higher than 2025 crop. At the same time, it's higher than the last 5 years. So this gives us a good indication that it will have a good insight for you to save some money in the feed formulation when you have a higher protein level. Same for starch. Starch is the main source for energy in corn, and also for humans. So we are using for our bread, etc. Also sorghum, it looked like the same as the level is 73, close to the last year, and at the same time close to 5. So there are some consistency that it's almost the same result for the starch and the protein. So, and also the fat is close to 3.5, so it's close to the yellow corn. So we have a kind of comparable or almost the same or close to the normal maize for this part. But one of the challenges for the sorghum, any sorghum, it has a challenging. The challenge is close to is tannins. Tannins is one of the important thing or anti-nutritional factors that can spoil the production in your farm. And tannins is a kind of a polyphenolic compounds and mainly found in certain part in the sorghum seed. Very fine. That's pigmenta testa. And this pigmenta testa is not found in every or on all the sorghum types, but it's found in certain birds. So as soon the US have been realized this one and developed the selection for the best sorghum quality, for this it have been kind of the analysis of the tannin is one of the focus for this part. But we can see that if you don't know, that can be the sorghum type 3, which can be found in several variety. It can go up to 8 milligram of catechins per gram. This is too high. 8 milligram catechins is very high. This can destroy the performance in your farm. But tannins, the problem is the changes binds with protein and affecting the digestibility for all nutrients related for this part. So the tannins is a challenge. But US tannin have been developed to be the lowest. According to their analysis for the last 7 years, we can see that the last part, especially for we have been collected 102 samples from sorghum from the different areas, from the production areas from USA, and we found that's less than 4 milligram catechins per gram. This means that it's close to or considered as a kind of a zero tannin. Zero tannin means that you can use it efficiently as a replacement for the or safe for poultry and fish. But actually, this is for me is a quality, and I would like to see what will be the response of the animal or the bird for this one. And yeah, we can see that US sorghum is consistent because it's almost the same analysis all over the year. Tannin, almost tannin free. It's very low or free. This means that's safe for poultry, fish, and animal. And at the same time, I have been looking for literature. Is that good to find this part? Actually, I have been choosing one of the Kenyan trials. This trial have been done here in Kenya, and it have been done in broiler and layer. And we can see in first one I will discuss about broiler, around 5,000 bird, cub 100 bird distributed in 2 flocks in a farm to find out how it look like as a performance. 12 bin per treatment. This divided simultaneously, so nobody knows what's it. And at the same time, these flocks or these treatments have starter grower and finisher pelleted feed. Starter and grower are isoenergetic, isonutritious, so starter and grower almost the same, but the finisher is a little bit lower. For the sorghum case, 20 kilocalorie. This is behind that we are testing also in this trial, testing the book value for the energy for sorghum. So we will checking this part in this trial. So according to this trial have been done, we found that a kind of in the first 3 weeks up to 21 days that the sorghum is a little bit heavier in body weight for broilers. But after that, it should look like that almost will be insignificant difference after the 30 days. Then the FCR, because the body weight, it was high in the beginning for the first 3 weeks, but after this, it can be insignificant as a difference after the 30 days. Mortality, it was numerically a little bit high in the second part, or at the end of the cycle, but it was insignificant because the treatments, not all the mortality happened in all the treatments, but in certain parts, and that is the reason behind why the mortality is there. So, according to, I don't like to dip that much in this trial, but it looked like it should to be number one. Of course, the feed should to be balanced, and at the same time, it looked like that it's comparable results between the sorghum usage for cob or the broiler compared to the corn part. In the same time, with this trial had been validated that, okay, the book value for the sorghum at 3,300 kilocalorie per kilogram is valid in this one. But actually, usually I try to trust, number one, the analysis, then calculate the energy, then use it in the formulation. In the same period, it have been done a layer trial, but this time we have been done 50-50% for the replacement of corn. So 100% corn and 50%, the other treatment, 50 and 50% between both of them as 1%. 3,000 birds almost have been distributed. They started in the beginning for the first period for the almost 5 weeks for the starter, common starter feed, it's starter normal one, so it's 100% normal corn. And then the grower diet and the layer have been shifted now for the 50-50% as a difference between the treatments. So from this part, always this trial have been a mash feed, and from the 9 weeks and the grower and layer, it have been divided to the treatment. Diet one is the corn, it's 100% corn, and the treatment B or the diet B is corn and sorghum. It's divided 50-50%. And it was all the time that the feed is iso-nitrogenous and also iso-calorie. So what happened in this part? In the beginning, of course, this showed that this is the starter period. It was normally for the starter one, but it looked like from this is a body weight. It shows that's comparable. They are almost the same. So there is no difference in the beginning between the growth up to 22 or 21 weeks. Then, yeah, there is no difference at all in this part for the body weight. So, also in the same, for the production, as the production for the corn diet in the beginning, it was a little bit higher than the sorghum. Something, but it happened at the week 26, there is some improvement for the sorghum. The sorghum have been exceeding the production of corn, but unfortunately, there is some problem happened due to coryza happened. There are some drop and happened for both treatments, but fortunately, both of them have been recovered. So the production have been returned back to normal cases. Egg production as egg weight, I mean that it was insignificant for the beginning up to 27 weeks. So the same weight we can see here up to for 27 weeks, close to each other, 57 gram, 0.6 to 58, it's close to each other. And at the end, 41 weeks and 51 weeks, they are comparable to each other. So the trial shows us for layer, corn and 50% sorghum, they are maintain the performance up to 51 weeks. So somehow it's a good tool that we can have a kind of this replacement. So I don't like to make it too long for the presentation, but now we feel the structure shortage of maize. There are some recall or some duty-free actions for buying corn. Sorghum is naturally non-GMO, so somehow you should take care. The source is important here because of the nutritional factor, and it should be tannin-free for your performance. And US sorghum is practical because it's have been proven the consistency for the analysis and for the tannin-free, and in the same time had been validated here in Kenya market for the trials. It looked like comparable. Thank you.